Today, much of the political violence around the world does not occur between countries but within them. These are civil wars, internal conflicts, and terrorist attacks that in many cases stem from deep political, social, and economic causes. One event that marked recent history was September 11 of 2001 when Al-Qaeda attacked the United States. That event demonstrated that the greatest threat does not always come from other states, but from non-state groups capable of generating fears and global chaos. During this presentation, we will address two major questions. Why do wars occur within states? Why do terrorist groups target civilians? Throughout this presentation, I will explore the cause of these conflicts, their characteristics, and their impact, while also drawing a connection to Colombia's experience, which stands as a prominent case of prolonged internal conflict. To understand this topic, we must begin with the basic definitions. A civil war is an armed conflict within a country between the government and one or more rebel groups. It is considered a civil war when there are at least 1,000 combat related deaths, and it usually stems from political, territorial, or economic motivations. Although they are distinct phenomena, they are deeply related and interconnected. Many rebel groups use terrorist tactics to pursue governments, and terrorist organizations often emerge in the midst of the civil wars. The text shows that between 2010 and 2016, 80% of terrorist attacks occurred in countries that were also experiencing internal armed conflicts. This reflects how both types of violence feed into each other. In Colombia, for example, the FARC guerrilla began as a peasant movement with a political motivation, but over time adopted terrorist tactics such as kidnappings and bombings. This demonstrates that the line between civil war and terrorism can be very thin. Why do countries go to war with themselves? Civil wars arise when there are conflicts of interest between the government and a segment of the population whose demand cannot be resolved throughout peaceful means. There are two main causes. First, grievances. These emerge with social or ethnic groups that are discriminated against, excluded, and marginalized. Such conditions generate resentment and a desire for change. Second, greed. In other cases, rebel groups seek to control economic resources such as minerals, oil, or drugs to gain power or wealth. Based on these causes, groups may pursue different objectives. To separate, as South Sudan did, to change policies like minority groups demanding autonomy in India, to seize power as rebel forces have attempted in Syria. In Colombia, internal wars have combined both causes. The FARC guerrilla was born as a response to rural inequality and political exclusion, but over time the conflict became intertwined with economic interest and related to drug trafficking and illegal mining. Why do terrorist groups attack civilians? Although it might seem irrational, terrorism is a political strategy. Attacking civilians generates fear, media attention, and pursuit of governments. It is a way to compensate for military weakness, since this group cannot confront the state directly. Moreover, terrorists often use violence to provoke an exaggerated response from the government, which can lead to greater social rejection and increased recruitment for their cause. A clear example is the Islamic State, ISIS, which emerged amid the civilian war in Iraq and Syria. As it lost territory, it began attacking civilians in various countries as a way to remain relevant and demonstrate power. In Colombia, we have also witnessed expression of terrorism, attacks such as the bombing of Club El Nogal in 2003 and General Santander Police Academy in 2019 show how violence against civilians has been used as a tool of intimidation and political propaganda. In conclusion, both civil wars and terrorism are manifestations of unresolved political conflicts. They emerge in contexts marked by inequality, in exclusion, and distrust towards institutions, and they persist when effective mechanisms or dialogue are absent. Understanding their root causes, as this chapter seeks to do, is essential for building more just societies with strong states and citizens who do not need to resort to violence in order to be heard.